report. Excellent, thank you, Josh. All right, so we'll call the meeting to order here at 6:02. I don't know that we have any members of the public present, so we'll skip public comment. And since we don't have a quorum, we'll move right into reports. Do any members of the committee have a report to give? All right, hearing none, we'll turn it over to Cynthia for the staff update.
Sure. I don't have too many updates that aren't covered under other sections, actually, Steve. So
Do we have any business updates for openings and closings? Anybody notice anything around town? And I don't know, we brought up Chase Bank. They're not open yet, but it looks like they're coming in to the old Jamba Juice Brugger's Bagel spot.
Did I see something about Jefferson Fry coming in?
yeah, so I can update you on both of those. So I think Chase's schedule is November, but as Steve said, they've got a dumpster out there and they're getting the space ready. And Jefferson Fry, from what I heard from the property owners, is the next couple of weeks. So, and it looks like Josh had his hand up. So
Yeah, I think we lost Grandma's Comfort Foods since the last meeting.
Oh, yeah.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that was too bad.
And I think I remember something from the last meeting where someone was wondering if Alex Solustri had sold the Chiropractic Health Center. And I remember Cynthia and I looked into that a bit more, and we saw that he had retired, but we weren't sure whether he had sold it or something.
Right, because I think he had, oh, here comes Valessa. He had in front of the Planning and Zoning Commission, I think, a request to expand the business, and Josh tried to reach out to him, and I don't think he heard back. So I don't know if anybody else knows the status.
Yeah. I was going to ask Jennifer if she was here, but
Yeah, we could, maybe when you talk to her about Taste of Mansfield, you
yeah.
can follow up.
Okay. All right. Let's back up for a moment. Welcome, Valessa. Nice to see you. That gives us a quorum, so we'll back up to the minutes that were attached to our packet. And if you want to take a quick minutes review, and then I would welcome a motion to approve the minutes or any corrections or edits.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the last meeting.
Thank you, Brian. Is there a second?
Wait, hold up one sec. As ex officio, Brian, are you allowed to make motions? I'm not
You're
sure.
correct. I made the same mistake last meeting, but thank you. Thank you. You're correct. I am so confused. I've been so many committees. I get confused.
I can understand that.
So we'll start all over. Is there a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
I'll motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you, Nancy. Is there a second?
I'll
Thank you,
second.
Melissa. Oh, she beat you to it. All those in favor, say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Any abstentions? So moved. All right, excellent. Thank you. So we'll get back onto our agenda here with the housing update. And Cynthia, I think I saw an email that came out from you with a brief update. Did you get it? Can you run us through that real fast, or?
Sure. Yeah. So, yeah, Jennifer, I forwarded on an email that she sent with an update. Try to do this quickly. So the mixed use center transitional zoning district that Jen talked about at the last meeting, those amendments did get approved on this week, on Monday, I think. And so those regulations will go into effect August 15th. And you may recall the developer who was interested in this, they actually were the ones that pursued this. And this is potential property across from the Standard, which is the new proposed property at Holiday Mall. Inland Wetlands Agency, which for those of you that don't know, the same people that serve on the Planning and Zoning Commission serve on the Inland Wetlands Agency. So they received an application for that area in the Four Corners between Toast, Ops 44 and the gas station and the Standard. And that's a proposal for 12,200 square feet of retail / restaurant, 51 one bedrooms, 51 two bedrooms, and 14 two-bedroom townhouse style apartments. So the Inland Wetlands Agency, which they will do, as well the PZC, they have brought on Land Tech to peer review. When it's a fairly extensive application, they will go out for peer review. That public hearing is expected to open on September 6th after Land Tech completes its review. Blue Waters LLC has filed a special permit to have a retail food use and an associated drive-through for Domino's. This is up at Four Corners also, at the former subway quarters, or subway headquarters, regional headquarters. That public hearing is August 1st. On the cannabis establishment, some of you may recall that live in town that there was a survey that was sent out to residents and widely publicized. So the Planning and Zoning Commission's Regulatory Review Committee met, reviewed the survey results, and now they want to do a joint meeting with the town council to review the results. So Jennifer and her team are working to schedule that with Ryan and his office. And then finally, on June 27th, the council authorized Ryan to execute an amended sewer service agreement between the town and Yukon. We'll probably continue to see some applications for development in where the sewer is serving the town. And then Jennifer put in a link to that packet from June 27th. So there's a lot going on. There's still that activity, Jennifer updated it today. So, there's several other projects out there, but I think it's a real good tool if you want to get more information about some of the projects.
Great. And that second bullet point, the Inland Wetlands Agency application, that site had been previously, there was a project that had been proposed, which they pulled back for statutory reasons, I guess, like length of time it can be open for. So this is a resubmittal of that project, or it's totally new?
Oh, I'm trying to remember, Steve, if that's the one. I thought that was the one up at the par 3, but I can check with Jennifer.
All right. And then I know Ryan is on the call. I don't know, Ryan, if you want to say anything about the new sewer agreement, or if you want to talk about it later under the Yukon.
Sure, I can speak to that briefly now, because I think the last time, if memory serves correct, the last EDC meeting, it was shortly before we had actually put, excuse me, put this to bed. So I think I maybe spoke briefly about what was anticipated based on the negotiations. And so I can say that everything that we anticipated at that time has come to fruition. So as far as substantive changes go, the biggest things are that the town has more control, I guess you could say, is the way I would put it, over its own development destiny, in the sense that direct connections to Yukon-owned sewer pipes, whereas in the past they could deny applications or requests to connect on essentially any grounds. They had sole discretion and authority to do that. Now it's much more presumption of an approval to connect, so long as the applicant demonstrates that it will follow the right industry best practices to make that connection happen, and so long as the town still has adequate aggregate sewer capacity. So we have 400,000 gallons a day that's held in reserve for the town's use. We currently utilize only about 25% of that, so there's a lot of opportunity for additional growth and development before we're anywhere near that 400,000 gallon a day threshold. So that was a big change that bodes well for us over the next 5 years. And then also we were successful in getting a provision included that should Yukon decide that it's in its best interest to increase the capacity at the sewer plant, which currently has the ability to process about 2 million gallons per day of flow, the town would have the ability to basically purchase on a prorated basis up to 18% of any additional capacity that the plant achieves. So essentially, if the plant were to increase in capacity 50% from 2 million gallons per day to 3 million gallons per day, that additional 1 million gallons, the town could acquire 180,000 gallons of and increase our capacity to 580,000. As I said before, we're nowhere near needing all that capacity based on current development pressure. But, obviously, if the Four Corners and other development takes off, we could be in a very different picture in the next 5 to 7 years. And that could be a real need. But today, anyway, it's more of an academic exercise. So those are some of the things I would point to, but it was a very successful negotiation. Appreciate UConn, them being receptive and listening to everything that we proposed. And really, to the extent that there were changes that I just outlined, they were all in the town's favor. There were no concessions that we had to make in the end to make that happen. So very, very content with how things played out.
That's really, really encouraging news. Does that more or less green light the King Hill Road project? That seemed to be the main obstacle to that moving forward.
Yeah, that's definitely had been an impediment, as well as some other, plans for development or redevelopment of spaces in the downtown area. And so, yeah, we've shared this information with Wilmerite, who's the developer of the land you're talking about, Steve, and they're very excited. They of course, new negotiations for new sewer service agreement were in the works. They were curious to see how things shook out, and they seem to be very pleased with where we ended up.
Great, wonderful. Cynthia?
Ryan, can I just clarify, just for our notes, did you say direct connection to the town or to UConn? I thought I heard you say UConn.
Yeah, to UConn. So the town had previously and will continue to have sort of the sole authority to approve or deny connections to its pipes. But in the past, UConn, even though it all ends up at UConn, is all treated by UConn, historically, UConn has been able to, they still will have the ability to approve or deny the connection. But in the past, they didn't really have to have any grounds to deny a connection. So all the sewer pipes in the downtown area that UConn owns, they had the ability just to say, nope, not allowing a connection. Now they still can say no, but they have to actually have like a technical basis for doing that. And really, there's very few instances where I could see that coming up. So for all intents and purposes, as long as the developer, working with an engineer, goes about making a connection the right way, using the right type of pipe and all the other industry best practices, UConn, for all intents and purposes, will have to approve it.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else have any questions about any of the points Cynthia just went over? All right, thank you very much. I don't know if there's anything on the calendar we need to discuss. So I think that takes care of reports. Excuse me, should be a quick meeting. We're making great time here. So moving to our discussion items. The first one is the business networking event that the Mansfield Downtown Partnership held at Hops 44 a few weeks ago. It was very well attended. Nancy did an amazing job with the food. Everybody had a fantastic time. And so I guess it's kind of a question for the EDC. Do we see this as something that we'd like to try to partner with the partnership on and maybe expand it to businesses that are not part of the downtown? Is that something we want to fund on some level? Or do we want to let it be their thing and kind of stick to what we've been doing? But overall, it seemed like it was a great event, a lot of great networking, a lot of people got to meet a lot of other people. So overall, really well. Brian, you have anything you want to add, or Nancy, since you guys are both there?
I think we ought to stick with working on the downtown, at least for the next one. Concentrate on the problems closest to home there.
I think it went really well. But I think I feel differently than Brian. I feel like, being out on this part of the world, you feel not included so much as the downtown or part of Mansfield, so to say.
Mhm.
So I say that you include people. Just my thoughts.
Anyone else have any thoughts or opinions on the matter? All right, well, I'm sure we'll keep it on the agenda as a future action item. I don't think there's another, I don't believe the partnership has one planned until September. So we'll definitely have at least another meeting or two before that happens, and we kind of work on it at that point.
Can we clarify who was at this one?
This one was put on by the Mansfield Downtown Partnership Business Outreach Subcommittee. And it was primarily just businesses in the downtown that were invited. And we weren't really sure, Brian and I are both on that subcommittee. We weren't really sure how many people to expect and how it would go. And so we were a little bit touch and go during the planning phase, but we did a lot of individual outreach, a lot of emails, and Nancy, what do you say, about 30, 35 people, something like that?
I say at least 35 to 40 people. There was quite a bit of the turnout. Yeah. I was really impressed because like when I did the Wyndham Chamber event, which was very similar, there were, I don't know, maybe 5 people that showed up for that. Where this was a nice turnout. And it was good to meet people and see people and, you know, put faces to businesses.
So I think now that we know that there's like an appetite for networking and bringing people together, one of the things we should figure out, one is, do we as the EDC have a role in facilitating that and maybe partnering with the downtown partnership on it? Since it was their event, we can't just commandeer it, but might be kind of nice to grow it maybe slowly, or maybe do another one with just the downtown and then expand the list. But things to think about for our next meeting, I guess. Anything else on that one?
I love the idea. It sounds fantastic. That's great.
Thank you. Next, we have a follow-up on the co-working spaces. So Josh was good enough to send out a email a couple weeks ago asking about what dates people would like to tour the co-working space in West Hartford. But I think everybody had a super busy July, and I don't know that we arrived at a date. So I think the plan is to try to shoot for dates in August. And Josh, you were going to reach out to the co-working space contact person, see if they had any proposals, or?
Yeah, I did reach out, and Anissa, who's in charge of worked on the West Hartford co-working space, said she would see what dates she can gather a bit further out, and I have not gotten a list of dates from her yet. Maybe I can email her again next week.
Okay.
But
so if you're interested, when the email goes out, if you're interested in doing like a little field trip type thing, just to kind of see what they look like, please reply to the email so we can kind of get that trip in the books or on the books.
yeah.
And Steve, what are you looking at for critical mass? So, we had heard back from 2 members. I mean, is it 3, 4? I mean, what do you feel? Are we trying to get the entire commission? Just wanted to check for Josh's scheduling purposes.
Well, I guess we can kind of poll the crowd here. Who would like to go?
August is a busy month for me.
Okay, should we push it to September, or?
I think you're gonna have a lot of people on vacation in August. That's what I'm thinking. September would work probably better.
Okay. Nancy, would that still work for you?
That will work.
Okay.
Yeah, if it's September, we would have another meeting before then, and I might actually be able to give you some dates during the meeting, like I was hoping to today. So.
Okay. Well, let's shoot for September, and then when you talk to us the next time, just we'll refresh it to then, and then I would say we'll just make a decision at our next meeting as to the actual date, and that way we can book it.
Sure, I can probably email her either tomorrow or next week
Yeah,
and
that's fine.
ask for dates in September. So
That'd be great. Yeah, I think Brian's spot on. It's a busy month for vacation, so. Anything else with the co-working space? All right.
No, I just want to thank Josh for the great job he did in the overview. So there's actually a lot more in the state than I realized.
there is. I started with that PowerPoint that Cynthia had sent me from, I guess it was an advanced CT meeting
Mhm.
that listed a lot, and then just started Googling from there. I remember that there had been some questions about things like what a co-working space would charge. So I was trying to make note of that, things like amenities, what kinds of free food and drink, free Wi-Fi is a recurring theme, obviously. And one thing I did find interesting about the West Hartford co-working, the one we're going to try to tour, and I remembered that there had been some interest in, or some questions about whether there would be any significant interest from students in a co-working space if it was by UConn. I did notice on the West Hartford one that they have, I think they have a separate student membership plan, and I noticed that they have some kind of academic advisor type person on their staff. So I made note of that in the memo as well. Something to keep in mind.
Well, thank you, Josh. That's very helpful.
I have a quick question,
Mhm.
and I'm sorry, it's hard for me to keep up sometimes. I'm sorry if this has already been brought up. So this has to do with the Goodwin schools, right? That building, is that going to be used as,
Not,
am I way off?
There was no, there was a brief mention of the possibility of using Goodwin or Vinton buildings as co-working space in the last meeting, but I don't think that's anything definite.
Okay, I
I do remember
just
that
trying
from the
to keep
minutes.
up with
Yeah.
if this was like gonna be a town-owned workspace, or if one of these businesses would be buying up a space.
I think we lost Cynthia and Josh, so if the feed goes down, we'll try to rejoin. But yeah, so the idea would be a private entity would run it. It wouldn't be a town thing.
Okay,
I think somebody mentioned maybe that would be a possible use for one of those spaces, but I'm sure the town has a whole list of possible uses for those spaces. So, but yeah, no, we don't have anything identified. It's more of something that has come up repeatedly over the last few years, both in the EDC and in discussions with other groups. So it was more of an identifying a market. Oh, I think we're losing.
I'm the host now, apparently.
There was just like a power outage in the Gurleyville area, so there may have been I don't know if there was a power outage also at Town Hall where everybody is, but
Yeah, Cynthia said that the electricity went out and they are restarting.
yeah.
So we'll give her a second. Lucy, have you ever been host of a meeting?
Not in a while.
I've never done it, so I don't know if you'll have to approve people when they join.
Okay, I'll keep an eye out. Yikes.
Instead of a co-hosting space, we should work on like electrical reliability or something. I swear to God, like we still have power outages all the time out here. And it's a lot better than it used to be. I mean, they've done a lot, they've done like the tree trimming and stuff like that, but I don't know. Or I don't know, maybe this was a brownout, who knows?
Could be.
Oh,
Oh, looks like they're all connecting back.
okay.
Did you guys lose electricity? Okay,
Yeah, I did, Cynthia.
you did, Lane?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right. Yeah, I can't see out of my office what's going on, so.
Sunny outside. I don't see any clouds, at least out my one window.
It's really sunny.
Did you guys have to reconnect, or did you just sit there till we came back on?
We just waited
Okay.
patiently.
We might have lost Valessa though. Or did we?
Yeah,
Oh,
well, they're trying
Brian
to.
is back. Okay.
Lucy did an admirable job as the host. She didn't skip a beat.
Thank you.
I lost you guys for a while. I
Oh,
don't-
man.
Had a little.
Okay, we lost most of us, but we're slowly coming back online.
Yeah.
We are all in our own ways a bit lost.
So Ryan has got some stuff going on, so I'm not sure that, who are we missing?
I think just Valessa.
Oh, yeah, Valessa, okay.
So while she's doing that, do we want to, or do you want to give us an update, Cynthia, on the ARPA fund relief program and where that stands?
Sure, yes, so we received about 24 applications. And we had a brief well, it wasn't brief. We had a meeting with kind of the advisory group, Ryan and I and Charmaine. And we're still doing some internal due diligence, but hoping to get back to the folks that that have everything together, you know, in the next week or so. So
Great.
stay tuned. There were some incomplete applications also. So when I get back from vacation, I'll be following up with those folks.
Wonderful. 24, that, what do we think roughly was the number of grants we were going to be able to give out? Was somewhere right around there, right? Around maybe 30?
Well, I think, you know, if everybody asked for $10,000, then we've got 370 million allocated. So I'm sorry, 370 million.
Woo!
I know, right? It's like we could take care of the whole town.
Maybe if you keep saying it, it'll come true.
Click my ruby slippers or something. 370,000. So anyway, Ryan is also back here, so he looks like he had some issues, but yeah, so stay tuned, I would say. And
Great.
here's Melissa.
Are there any thoughts on extending the program to expend the rest of the funding?
We did talk about that, Brian, briefly. And I think Ryan's going to talk with the council or council leadership at some point.
Okay.
So that is a possibility.
Well, that's, we just were discussing the ARPA loan business relief program. And Cynthia's been the point person for collecting all the applications. She said that they've received 24 applications to date. So they're now starting to sift through and do the due diligence on them and hoping to get back to them in the next week or two. Is that what you said, Cynthia?
Yes.
Great. Awesome.
I apologize. My internet went out for a second there and I got booted.
Oh, we did too here.
Yeah, I think we lost
Okay.
almost everybody.
Oh, okay.
We're all back.
It just took me longer to get back apparently. All right.
It's all
Did
good.
anyone have any questions about the ARPA topic?
Just when I hopped in on, there was some discussion, and I know on the thread for reviewing applications, there was discussion of nonprofits. Did that come up here or no?
We did discuss that. Yeah, we did, Valessa. So that's another one where Ryan's going to circle back with folks and see where we want to go with that.
Okay, that's great. And
For
sorry
this
to-
round, we're sticking to kind of what our criteria was, but if there's a second round, we may relook at that. And there may be other options too for ARPA funding for nonprofits.
Fantastic. Okay, good.
Okay.
Steve, can I go back one agenda item really quickly?
Yeah, for sure. Yep.
Just for what it's worth, as someone who works from home in Mansfield and has worked in many WeWork, it's an interesting proposition. So I'm interested in being looped in on those discussions on the co-working space.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's something, like I said before, I think that's when the power went out, was when we were just starting to discuss it. It's something that we've talked about on EDC from time to time for the last 2 or 3 years, not with any regularity, but kind of on and off. And I think where we saw it kind of going was if we could understand it better and if we could explain it to local property owners that there may be a market for it, maybe it's something you want to consider, especially with all this proposed development coming online, maybe it fits. One thing I'm personally watching, I guess, is with the vacancy in the downtown, and now they were bringing on a lot more commercial space, at the four corners. Maybe one of those commercial spaces could be something like this, like a co-working space, and maybe our role in it is we could propose to the developers, hey, we've done all this research and we've done all this footwork on it, or legwork on it. Have you thought about possibly going down this avenue? So nothing that we would be involved in financially, more of an advisory, hey, did you think of this type capacity?
That's great.
Great. Anybody have anything else on either of those two topics? Great. All right. So we'll move on to subcommittee updates. I don't know have any of the subcommittees met since our last meeting, Cynthia?
No.
Okay, so we will table the updates until we have met. The town Yukon collaboration update, I think the big thing under that one was the sewer agreement, which Brian discussed earlier. I think can we talk about the proposed press release that came out where the Yukon may or may not be selling or leasing part of the depot campus for the test track? That's a fair game to talk about, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know if you guys saw that that article that came out, but Yukon's been in discussions with a developer who wants to look at doing an autonomous driving vehicle test track on the depot campus, which would be pretty exciting development, since the depot campus is used, part of the depot campus is used, but a large part of it is not. So it'd be a great way to repurpose the space. And it also would be a unique feature that would be located in our town that not a lot of other places, I guess there's not even a lot on the East Coast, I think is what they were saying. There's very few test tracks around. And this one would be geared specifically towards autonomous driving vehicles. So kind of a cool niche that fits in with Yukon being fairly tech savvy and forward looking on that, right next to the tech park. So kind of a neat thing. I don't know if anybody has been following that or has any questions on it or has any thoughts about it, but.
Yeah, how much of the depot campus will it occupy, and will they be raising buildings? Does anybody have an answer to that question? I'm not sure the size of the track or how much land it's going to take. I think I saw they were purchasing it for $5 million. Is that right? Or an option to buy?
Yeah, so you guys had the article from the Current in your packet, and maybe that's what you're referring to, Brian. I don't know if the press release was in here too. I think it was under Yukon Today. So yeah, 5 million is the price to purchase 105 acres. And then they're talking about $30 million to $40 million test track and research facility. So I don't know specifically about, this came out last time when I was on vacation, so I don't know specifically about whether buildings will come down or not.
Anybody know the total acreage of the depot campus? Give me an idea.
I don't know. I don't know if anybody else knows.
I'll try to look it up while we keep on going. But yeah, no, that's a good question. I'm sure we can look into that one, because that's actually a good point, because there's a lot of kind of brownfield elements down there. So if this was going to take care of some of that, that would be a nice.
That's what we're looking for. I would think.
So one thing I did want to mention, and I think I've told Steve and Ryan, so the backstory to this, just from the town perspective, is interesting. So when the northern part of Mansfield was designated as a federal opportunity zone, the town with the partnership hosted 2 events for developers and realtors. And we did this with Advanced CT, who was contracted to work with us on promoting the opportunity zone. And Steve Cortez, who's the developer, was planning to come to that meeting and talk about multifamily housing. He saw Dr. Eric Jackson's presentation on the AV track and he got totally engrossed. So it's a nice story to tell about how, you know, our efforts to try to work hard to promote the opportunity zone has potentially resulted in a new business and facility that would garner taxes for the town of Mansfield. So, you know, you never know when you do those things, whether, you know, things will happen in the way that this has happened, but it's an interesting story. And, you know, I remember Steve being there and, you know, we had asked Dr. Jackson to do the presentation because we knew that he was very involved in this research. So just a little bit of information, background information.
You certainly put a lot of hours into promoting the opportunity zone, Cynthia. So it's nice to see some fruits of the labor because you did a lot of work on that. So
yeah, and it was definitely you know, Linda from the town was very involved as well, and certainly Courtney from Advanced CT and her team. But yeah, it seems like a long time ago, and it took a while. But anything before COVID seems like a long time ago, I guess. But anyway.
Brian, I just pulled the town card on the Depot campus. It looks like it's 226 acres.
So roughly taking half of it then.
Yeah.
Okay, so I would think some buildings might come down in that, which would be a good thing if we could, you know, reclaim the brownfield.
Yeah, absolutely. Any other questions about the test track or anything else Yukon related? All righty. Next, we have the promotions of the arts in Mansfield. This was something that Brian had brought up and he and I were working on. So Brian and I met a couple weeks ago, I think now, Brian, just to kind of brainstorm what the event might look like. And I think Brian, it was either Brian or Cynthia, brought up that there's a arts advisory committee here in our town. So Brian reached out to them and got us invited to their next meeting, which is in September, where we'll meet with a bunch of local artists who are on the arts advisory committee and kind of chat with them about if there's a way to work in some type of art event, hopefully in the downtown, probably sometime next year, and what that event might look like and who should we be thinking about inviting and that type of thing. Brian, you want to say anything on that one?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to set the bar too high, but something we could work towards is a possible regional art show. And then we want to include the School of Fine Arts. Does anybody have a contact at the School of Fine Arts that we could reach out for, maybe to join us in the September meeting in the Arts Advisory Committee? Might be something we want to start bringing them into, you know, right away. I did go to the Wickford Art Show on July 9th and 10th. They have 200 exhibitors there. They actually use a large grassy area in a park and have, you know, a lot of room. But there's a list of artists that in the future you could use to contact to see if they would like to exhibit in the downtown, because a lot of them are close by. Massachusetts, Eastern Connecticut, Rhode Island. So for the future, maybe try to build on something that you know, gets larger and larger every year, and maybe actually you know, put ourselves on a map for a regional show.
Great. Anyone have any thoughts on that, Cynthia?
I was just going to say, we're continuing to work with the School of Fine Arts, hoping to work on some gallery space in some of the available space downtown. So Denise has been working on that, which I think I mentioned at the last meeting. So hopefully we'll see something this fall.
Mystic has an art show, I think at the beginning of the August, maybe around August 4th, somewhere like that. Might make a trip down there and see how they do theirs. I think they do theirs on the main drag by the bridge.
Great.
Now, is this just displaying art, or is this involving community in any way? I know Coventry does Arts on Main every year in the summer, and they have like kids involved with doing art projects and they have music playing. Is this more of a like an outdoor gallery event, or is this a, I don't want to say festival, but
I would think that that'd be a great idea, Lucy, to bring in a local musician and, have, some activities for families and children along with the art display. Not only display your art, but actually put it up for sale. But that's a good idea.
great, okay. I have connections to the Coventry Arts Guild if you want me to ask for any insight on how they did it.
Absolutely. Maybe you can attend the art advisory meeting come September.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Lucy, I'll email you the meeting details after our meeting tonight.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. We have the communications that were attached in our packet. Our next meeting is scheduled for August 18th. Is there anything anyone would like to add to a future meeting agenda? All right. Cynthia, do you have your hand up? Nope.
No, sorry.
Sorry. Anything else for the good of the order? We made great time tonight. Even with a brownout in the middle, we still made great time.
I just wanted to quickly say, because I was victim of the brownout there, it took a while to get back on. And then Cynthia was kind of in, I think, mid-report on the local business assistance program, our group meeting today. I just wanted to make sure to extend my appreciation to her and the Downtown Partnership staff for all the legwork and organization and compilation of everything that they did for the local business assistance program applications. Made our work a lot easier as a committee today, and just really appreciate that.
Did everyone lose power here?
No.
We did
Must have
not
been-
lose power on Four Corners.
Yeah, it
Okay,
must have been
cool.
like from like Yukon South or Yukon East.
I don't want to say it, but we very rarely lose power. Knock on wood.
Nancy.
I'm on the other end of the spectrum. If I sneeze too hard, I'll knock out power here.
Very rarely. Oof.
Well,
Thank you,
there-
Ryan, for your comments. I appreciate it.
I wholeheartedly second it.
Thanks, Alyssa.
Yeah, thank you, Cynthia.
Anything else for the good of the order? If not, I'll take a motion to adjourn. Someone? Anyone?
I'll make a
Nancy?
motion.
And Valessa with the second. Thank you all very much. Have a great evening, and we'll see you next month.
Thanks, bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
There's Ryan.